I first opened up MBS Fitness in 2011. And since then, we've probably had some 10,000 people or more walk through our doors. And I've gotten the chance to see a ton of people have success and a ton of people struggle. And I kind of see what is the difference, what's the characteristics between those who succeed and those who fall off. And while everyone focuses on the details of how they're going to reach the goal, what workouts should I do? Or what's the best exercises I should do? Or what kind of macros should I be eating? Few people focus on what I actually think matters the most, which is what does it take to be consistent? The most important workout that you're going to do is the one you do tomorrow. And so we have to set ourselves up for consistency and a long time doing this. It doesn't matter how hard you work out over the next 6 weeks. If in 6 weeks from now, you're not working out anymore, you're going to lose all the progress that you had. The goal is to start working out and then never stop. Do it for the rest of our lives. Make it a habit. Make it something that's foundational to who we are and what we do. So in part of that process of helping ensure that you are going to have long-term success, I actually want to share some awareness for you so you can game plan ahead of time to ensure you're still doing this not only 6 months from now, but hopefully 60 years from now. So here are some gym membership stats. 19% of Americans have gym membership, which that kind of means only about 20% of Americans even have a chance of being fit. You can work out, without weights and stuff, but realistically, you're not going to be able to build strength, which is primary for health, without a gym membership. So only about 19% of Americans even have them. All of those people who have gym memberships, only about 30% use them. So now we're down to 6% of the United States has a gym membership and uses it regularly. Of those people who regularly use the gym, only about 10% of those train at least 3 times a week, which is kind of the necessary amount to make really good progress and reach a high level of fitness. So now we're down to 0.65% of Americans. 43% of Americans quit in month 1 and 65% of them quit by month 6. So my goal is to make sure that you are not in that 43 or 65%, and in 6 months from now, you're still rocking and rolling. Oftentimes, what I hear people say is, I just need motivation. And you might think that almost dying would be the type of motivation that you need to really get yourself going. But data would suggest otherwise, because only 7% of women and 2.5% of men make the recommended lifestyle changes in their smoking habits, their diet, or their exercise after a heart attack. So there's a less than 10% chance that even having a heart attack, you would make those changes. The fitness industry is a $45 billion industry. And you might think to yourself, wow, that's great. Americans are investing $45 billion in their health and fitness. That's only about $130 a year that each person's investing in their health and fitness when spread across 350 million population. In comparison, we spend $130 billion on fitness clothing. That's 3 times as much on the clothing we wear than the actual thing that helps us be healthy and fit. But even that pales in comparison to the amount of money we spend on pharmaceuticals and healthcare, which are in the 500 billion range and the 5.3 trillion dollar range. So we're making the investment, we're just making it in the wrong area. We're making it after we're already sick, instead of on things that are going to make us resilient to that sickness and actually have high vitality lives. So in all my years, I've only seen 3 reasons why people quit or don't start to begin with. And they are time, money, and fear. That could be fear of physical pain. That could be just the discomfort from exercise, or even the fear of a previous injury or a future injury. They could just be afraid they're going to get hurt or feel pain. It could be fear of social pain, feeling like you're being judged, feeling like people are looking at you. It can be fear of mental pain. It can be fear of looking yourself in the mirror and going, oh crap, I've let myself go, and this is now how unfit I actually am. Or it could be fear of change. It could be fear of having to change your schedule, fear of having to change your budget, fear of having to change your friend group. But the best way to face fear is pretty simple. You have to face it. You have to look it head on, come up with a game plan, start taking forward steps. If you run the other direction, fear wins and you lose. And when you lose in health and fitness, it's not pretty. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you conquer and overcome that fear by slowly exposing you to it a little bit at a time and helping you realize it's going to be okay. Here's the thing about time and money. They are measurements of what you value, what you invest your time and money, and show us what you value the most. And the reality is sometimes we have to make a decision around who we're going to invest in, today me or future me. But if we're always investing in today me and never investing in future me, then future me gets kind of the worst end of the stick. I dump a bunch of bad investments on him 5, 10, 20, 30 years in the future and go, well, now deal with it. And as difficult as it may seem to have to problem solve it for today, it's way harder down the road. Now, there's no such thing as time management. We all have the exact same amount of time. All we have is priority management. I've never found anyone who had a good reason for not investing in themselves at least 3 hours a week. There's 168 hours in the week. 3 of those you can invest into yourself to ensure that you show up at 100% and those other 166 hours throughout the week. Every minute you spend exercising gives you 7 extra minutes of lifespan. That's a pretty good investment. A 700% return on life for every minute you put into the gym. Now, money's a tricky one because we all have a different amount of money that we have to steward appropriately. And in my experience, few people just have a bunch of money set aside that they haven't put towards anything. Similar to time, they got their allotted amount and they're putting it towards things. So often what has to occur is not finding time or finding money, but instead reinvesting time and money from things that aren't helping us reach our goals into things that actually are. Now, there's a reason we call these obstacles and not barriers. Obstacles are a problem, but they can be solved for. You can decide to quit and give up and not solve them for today, but then you're going to have to deal with the problems that they create down the line. And we all know that life isn't smooth. It likes to throw us curveballs from time to time. So over your fitness journey, I can guarantee you that you will have a change in schedule, a change in budget, and something that will induce fear into your journey. And if you haven't planned on how you're going to take that on, there's a big chance that you'll just throw your hands up, give up, and not try to problem solve it. But there's a much better option. Plan ahead. If you have a change in time, what will you do? How will you continue to invest time into something as important as your health and fitness? When you have a change in budget, how will you handle it? If the budget goes down, how will you reinvest things that you're currently spending to be able to continue to invest in yourself? Or how will you figure out ways to make a little bit more money so you can continue to invest in yourself? And if fear comes into play, will you lean into your emotions and cower? Or will you face that fear with the support of the MBS Fitness team? We believe in you, but you have to believe in yourself and you have to prepare for the reality that's going to come at some point. So take the time now and choose who you will be when that happens and what you're going to do.